There we go. We're on. Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hitting the Wall. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. It is Tuesday, January 28th, 2020. I want to start tonight's show by thanking our buddy Joe for coming in last week. That was a really fun episode that we got to do last week, just talking Chiefs football and our excitement for the big game that's coming up. So, again, thanks to Joe for joining us. That was actually really fun. That was a good time. In case you hadn't noticed, we are still on our way to the Super Bowl. I'm allowed to say it, because I'm not marketing it. I know that word comes with all sorts of legal issues, but I can say the word Super Bowl. So we are on our way to the Super Bowl. It is coming up this Sunday, and I think kickoff is around 5 o'clock. So make sure that everyone is watching and that you are maybe wearing your red. Perhaps, maybe you would like to support the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that you should. I think it's a good idea. In case you haven't noticed, I'm still a little iffy, wishy-washy on who I might support in that game. It's really a tough call between my Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers. So I don't know. I'll figure out, who I'm rooting for. And if you can't see me, I happen to be wearing red head to toe. So anyway, that's coming up. We've got the Super Bowl coming up, which is super exciting. We have last week's episode with Joe, where all we did was talk Chiefs football. That was super fun. And so this week, since it's just me, I thought, we can't have too many, happy-go-lucky bubblegum episodes. And at some point in time, we got to bring everything kind of back to even. And we're going to talk about this week. It's still going to be a sports episode, which you guys know I love. But this is kind of the downside of sports that's really been happening lately. And we're just going to talk about it because you know what they say, art imitates life, imitates art. And you can even reverse that. Life imitates art, imitates life. And so there are things that happen that are just, I see them in the sports world. And it's one of those things. It's like the sports world is supposed to be my escape. It is my escape from real life. And so when these crazy things happen, I don't like it. Like, I don't like it when sports, my little fantasy world, and then real life, start bumping into each other. And that's happened many times, and I don't like it. So while Joe and I were on last week, as soon as we, stopped the show and, kind of caught our breath from our half hour of blah, 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 we saw the alert about a fight between the KU Jayhawks and the K-State Wildcats. Now, you guys know me. I like the state in which I live. I like Kansas. I support it, and I, defend it against people from other parts of the country. And so it killed me to see that our two biggest schools were involved in some sort of an altercation. So he and I pulled up the video. We pulled up the video of this fight between KU and K-State. And if you didn't see that, that was wild. So it came at the end of the game. A K-State player did something that he shouldn't have. It's one of the unwritten rules of basketball when a player can just dribble out the clock, when the game is no longer in question. KU had a very large lead. The K-State player was a little overly aggressive, went for a steal, tried to get a junk layup at the end of the game. KU defender took umbrage to that, came, blocked a shot, and that's when the problems began. There was a huge altercation after that, punches thrown, bodies flying, spilled into the crowd, which is never safe. That's a different thing entirely. Like if it had stayed on the court, that's bad. Going into the crowd, infinitely worse. To the point that a player was seen with a stool hoisted above his head, ready to go full WWE on the situation and start walloping people with a stool. Now, to his credit, when I watched the video, to me it looks like just the look on his face and his actions, I think it registered with him, this is a bad idea. I'm pretty sure he dropped the stool. I don't think that it was just ripped out of his hands before he could use it. I would like to think that the young man came to his senses and decided, this is a bad idea. Either which way, that particular gentleman has been suspended 12 games. Another person on the KU squad was suspended for a few. 2 guys from K-State were suspended. So suspension's done. Why this stuff happens, I have problems with the NCAA. I think they really are, they're trying to get the best of both worlds. They want the big celebrities. They want the big high school kids. They want the LeBron James, and they're basically handcuffing them into going to college. But the problem is they have this one and done rule. So a player only has to go to college for 1 year before he is eligible for the NBA draft. I think this is a terrible decision because for a college guy to only go 1 year, he only really has to go to class for a semester. As long as he passes the first semester, it doesn't matter what he does in the second semester because basketball season will end. He knows he's only there 1 year. He will then attempt to go to the pros. Now, a lot of these guys are getting bad information and have bad support structures around them because KU, well, look at KU. KU has a history of players who were one and dones and never amounted to anything. They did nothing in the NBA because they were told that they were better than they were. Maybe some people around them wanted to get a cut of that pie. And so some promising careers were cut way short due to this rule that the NBA instituted and kind of handcuffed the NCAA into agreeing with. So yeah, I think that the NCAA has a lot to work on. This fight just kind of showcases things. I don't know if this guy was a one and done, if he's planning on ever coming back, if he was a freshman, what year he was, but it's a broken system and it needs to get fixed. And then this fight, I don't know, just it puts a big spotlight on the fact that the NCAA is broken. This kind of thing shouldn't happen, but it did. So that's all I'm gonna drone on the Jayhawks and the Wildcats. Let's see here. Someone said that the coach took the stool away from him. Again, I was giving him benefit of the doubt. I hope that he decided to drop it on his own because keeping it in his hands was a terrible idea. So next we're going to go on to something a little worse. Actually, this is way worse. I was trying to do this in kind of ascending order of bad to worse. This one is way worse. There's a scandal in Major League Baseball. And if you haven't heard of this, this is wild. It involves the 2017 World Champion Houston Astros, who have now been full-fledged, caught, busted, dealt with cheating during that championship season. So what they've done is they set up an illegal camera in center field. It was shooting all the way down at the opposing team's catcher. The catcher would give the signs, that catchers do, to the pitcher, and that camera would steal the signs. And so then people in the Houston dugout would bang a trash can or make some sort of a noise to let the batter know, hey, a curveball is coming, or hey, a fastball is coming. And that way he knew already what was on the way from the pitcher as they were illegally stealing these signs. And they went and won a world championship off of this. Now, heads have rolled after this was discovered by Major League Baseball, improperly researched, and kind of taken to the finish line. Although I really don't think it was taken all the way to the finish line, but they took it as far as they could. So the general manager and the manager of the Houston Astros both fired. Actually, they got suspended for 1 year. And then the Astros themselves said, no, you're done. Get out. So they were fired. Now, the manager of the Boston Red Sox was on the staff of the Astros the year that took place. So the Boston Red Sox said, whoa, you are big time into this scandal. You're out. And then the Mets, the New York Mets, had just hired a former player of theirs as their new manager. That player was still playing on that 2017 Astros squad. He was the only player actually named in the report as being involved in this scandal. So the Mets said, whoa, you're part of this. Now you're out. So 3 high caliber Major League Baseball teams and organizations are without managers as spring training is about 2 weeks away. And I know Houston just hired Dusty Baker because when in doubt, you hire Dusty Baker. That's just what Major League Baseball teams do. But again, another huge scandal. Now, the people of Los Angeles, California, the Dodgers lost to the Astros in that World Series. So the people of Los Angeles have started petitions saying, you guys should give us the World Series championship because the Astros had to cheat to get it. They have a valid point, although that will never happen. The one that I saw today, though, and it was a tweet by a player, he is friends with a guy who pitched in against that Astros team. And because of the sign stealing, that guy lost his job as a pitcher because he got battered so much by the Astros because they were cheating. That guy never got his position back. Like when he lost his job, I think it was as the closer, he never was the closer again because of how bad his outing was. And now I think that guy's out of baseball. So really, it's not just championships. It's not just, wins and losses. It was this guy's career that got derailed because these guys were cheating the way that they were. So it gets worse, the more you think about it. And again, that's where it transcends sports. It's more than sports. They've taken this guy's his paycheck, his livelihood, and probably a lot of belief in himself. They took that all away from him by cheating. And so the Astro situation, which I don't think is done yet, there was also rumors that the players might have been wearing buzzers under their uniforms to also tip them on what was coming. Major League Baseball says that they can't prove that. Some people kind of doing work on their own have maybe unearthed some information. Now, baseball has closed the case, but I do think that we're going to see more coming from that Astros scandal as time goes on. But again, it has cost 3 managers their jobs, a general manager, and then players who were affected. Again, only one was named in the report. He was dealt with. But imagine you're a guy who was on that team. Let's say you get traded or you sign somewhere as a free agent. You think those players are just going to welcome you with open arms? I think it could get a little dicey. That's just me. What do I know? So anyway, there's our second of our fun little scandals. Now this one, the next one on our downside of sports, this actually involves our Chiefs, our Kansas City Chiefs. And an article that was written last week that came out, that is maybe one of the most ridiculous articles I've ever read. It's absolutely awful. And if you follow the Chiefs at all, you know exactly what I'm going to talk about. I'm not mentioning this writer's name because he does not get publicity even on my rinky-dink little podcast. That's just not going to happen. Here is what this unnamed gentleman wrote about our quarterback, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, number 15, guy I'm wearing. So what he said was, I want to be careful here because I'm not suggesting that they try to knock him, Mahomes, out of the game. That's not what I'm saying, this person said. But at a certain point, you trade the risk of 15 yards if you can send a message. Football is still a physical, violent game. If you can hit him, even if it's close to the sideline, even if he's maybe started into his slide, when the championship is riding on it, I think it's a different analysis. So what this guy is saying, he's not saying purposely try to knock Patrick Mahomes out of the game. No, he's not saying that, except he shot himself in the foot. He said, but at a certain point, you might take the penalty if it means getting that mildly illegal lick on Patrick Mahomes. Now, listen, what you think of the NFL rulebook is entirely your opinion. You might think that they protect quarterbacks too much. You might think that they don't allow the hitting that used to be allowed in football. You can think whatever you'd like. That's all you. You go. These rules, as they are today, were put into place to protect people, to try and make the game safer. And I take this back to what happened, what we were just talking about with the Astros. Okay, that Astros scandal cost a pitcher his job. It cost him his livelihood. Okay, so if a guy, fast forward to the Super Bowl, says, well, Mahomes has that one leg out of bounds, the play's technically over, maybe I'll try and hit him below the knees anyway. Let's say, worst case scenario, they rip out his MCL. Okay, now you're affecting a person's livelihood. That is something that is bigger than sports, in my opinion. And I don't know too many people who's going to voice a differing opinion than that. So what this guy said is, I'm not telling them to intentionally hurt Patrick Mahomes, but it would greatly increase their chances of winning if they permanently hurt Patrick Mahomes. That is irresponsible writing. And that is kind of what we have come to in sports on a lot of levels, not all levels, but on a lot of levels. Cheat to win, hurt someone to win. Don't just be the better team. Don't have the better players, don't have the better coaches, don't have the better scheme. Just cheat to win. Okay, and imagine how many different aspects of our lives we could apply that to. Now, don't work hard at your job, just cheat. Don't try and do the best work that you can. Throw that guy under the bus. Okay, don't try and don't try and be the best spouse that you can. Blame the other one. Okay, that's if it's art imitating life and life imitating art, that's exactly what we're doing. We're saying, okay, well, we can't beat Patrick Mahomes, so we might as well maim him. Well, I can't make my spouse happy, so I might as well blame them. It just doesn't work that way, at least in my humble opinion. So this guy is an absolute clown, and he got in serious trouble for this take. Don't think he lost his job, although people were calling for it. But either which way, I want every member or every player who touches the field, touches the sideline of that Super Bowl, both sides, to go home safe. And if it means that the Chiefs take a 40-point drumming at the hands of the 49ers, as long as everyone gets home safe, you know what? Cool. Yeah, I'll be disappointed, sure, because I want my team to win. I do not want Jimmy Garoppolo to leave with a broken kneecap. I do not want Richard Sherman, even though he is a nut job. I don't want him leaving under concussion protocol because someone put a dirty hit on him. It is not worth it. Okay, just to win a game is not worth permanently injuring someone and maybe taking away the way they support their family. Just not worth it. And that is how I see it. So, lastly, we come to the biggest story of the week. You guys know what I'm going to talk about. We got to talk about it. There was a helicopter crash Sunday morning outside of Los Angeles that killed 9 people. I'm going to read these 9 people to you, and some of them have a little blurb about them. I'm going to share that as well. We have a gentleman named, and I'm going to mess up their last names, and I apologize, John Altobelli, Carrie Altobelli, and Alyssa Altobelli. John was 46, John was 56, Carrie was 46, and Alyssa was 13. And what it says here is John and his wife Carrie were on board the helicopter with their daughter Alyssa, who played on a basketball squad. People will get to later. And let's see, Altobelli was the longest tenured baseball coach in Orange Coast College history. He guided the Pirates to 4 California State Community College championships and more than 700 victories in his 27 years at that school. Next, we have a Christina Malser. She was 38 years old. Malser was the top assistant coach for the basketball team, and her players included the Alyssa, who we just mentioned, and the ones we'll get to. We have, I'm going to mess up this name, Ara Zobayan. This was the pilot of the helicopter. Then I have Sarah Chester. She was 45. Peyton Chester, another 13-year-old girl. And then, of course, the one that everyone is talking about is Kobe Bryant, NBA legend, and his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna Bryant. Both lost in this helicopter crash. I was sitting here in my house with my 13-year-old daughter to my left when news of this broke. So it's impossible to just sit here and say, oh, wow, that's really tragic. And, I'm sorry that the basketball world lost someone. No. This involved kids. This involved other people. And this involved a legend. Kobe Bryant, I'll be the first to say, I was never a fan. Like, this guy didn't do anything for me. I respected his game. Dude is super talented. Like, he is amazing. And he came to the NBA at the right time. As Michael Jordan, who in my opinion was the greatest to ever play. I got to see Jordan in his prime. Kobe came in at the end of that, basically took the Jordan torch, took the NBA mantle, and moved it forward. Someone always does. And it was absolutely Kobe Bryant. Even though he wasn't my favorite, Kobe Bryant was his era's Michael Jordan. And so he only played for one team. He only played for the Los Angeles Lakers. He was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, got traded on draft night. He was a Laker always until the day he retired. So to the people on the West Coast, he was a huge deal. I mean, it's like, George Brett here in Kansas City times 100. It's like Derek Jeter on the East Coast. Kobe Bryant was Mr. Laker. I mean, not he was Jerry West, but he was basically Mr. Laker of that generation. People grew up with him. People watched him. People emulated him. People wanted his game. People wanted his numbers. They wanted his shoes. This guy was a living legend. And so for the people who are getting upset about the coverage of this situation, I think you're wrong. And here's why I think you're wrong. Okay. If this helicopter goes down north of LA and a Kobe Bryant isn't on it, you don't hear about it. It does not make national news if Kobe Bryant is not on that helicopter. Now, I'm not saying, oh boy, it's a good thing he was there. No, it's not. This is tragic. Whether it was 9 people with Kobe Bryant and his daughter, or it was 7 people and they weren't on it, it is still a terrible and tragic situation. But you won't hear about it if he's not there. So if you're upset about all the coverage of Kobe Bryant, remember, you wouldn't have known if he wasn't there. So we wouldn't know anything about Sarah Chester, Peyton Chester, Ara Zobayan, Christian Mouser, John Altobelli, Kara Altobelli, or Alyssa Altobelli. You wouldn't know about them. And so all the love that they are getting, their families are getting, all the support that their families are getting. And if you are a Christian, all the prayers that have been lifted up in their name, those don't happen if Kobe Bryant's not on it. Okay, you can argue, is that right or is it wrong? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Argue that all you want. It doesn't happen if he's not there. So yes, he's there. Yes, that is getting a lot of the coverage because of his superstar, his bigger than life status. But those other people aren't recognized. You would have never known that that happened if he wasn't there. We've done shows before trying to find not the good in a tragedy, but trying to find just that positive, that's something. Okay, we've done those episodes before, and you can normally find something. And I'm lumping this in that category. Kobe had to be on that for you to be able to know who these people are. Let's see. Okay, I see the comment on there. Different issue, but you're right. Okay, so my biggest point to the people who are upset, and look, there's also another argument going off in another direction between the loss of Kobe Bryant and then military personnel. A, different conversation for another time. B, yes, there's a story circulating about 30 Marines who were killed in a helicopter crash on the same day. That story was from 2005. Someone just circulated it to try and muddy the waters. Still, tragic in 2005, but that's not a current thing if you're seeing that. And again, that's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, my biggest point, what I want people to take away and really understand is we don't know about those people if he's not on it. And if he's not getting the coverage that he's getting, then we don't know about them. And so really it's better this way, the way that it turned out, because it's not like we can change it, because now we can include them in our thoughts, we can include them in our prayers, we can include them in the scholarship funds are going to be set up and the remembrances that are happening all around the world. These people will be forever linked and their families will forever benefit from what happened, as tragic as it absolutely is. Tragic for fans of Kobe Bryant, tragic for families, tragic for friends, tragic for absolutely everyone. I take nothing away from the tragedy of this situation. The only thing I want to caution is everyone, we are getting to this point where everyone has, and this is not my term, this is a term I heard someone use and I thought it was great. We are all looking at this situation and others with that fist in our spirit. Okay, and that's not my line, credit to Dan. We have this fist in our spirit where we want to fight what people are feeling. You can't fight what someone else feels. If someone's upset about Kobe Bryant, then they're upset about Kobe Bryant. Okay, and if someone's upset about these other people, then they can be upset about that. But we're looking at these situations with just this fist in our spirit as it goes. And I just, everyone, if this situation shows us anything, it is how precious life is, and it is how we are never guaranteed tomorrow. And we're not. I think I've told this story before, but you guys know back in 2016 when I had my 2 open heart surgeries, I almost didn't make it from the second one. Like we had a bad night, and I honest to God felt the darkness creeping in. That's how close I came. Since then, I've had this different perspective because I know that, I mean, that could have been my time. And I accepted the fact that it was. When I laid on that table and I felt that darkness creeping in, I had my conversation with God. I said, okay, so clearly this is it. Like, clearly it's go time and I'm done. And, there were things I wanted to do, but you're saying it's over. And so I had that moment. And now we look at this, we look at someone like a Kobe Bryant can go down in a helicopter crash here 1 minute, gone the next, going to a basketball game with his daughter and some of her teammates. We're never guaranteed another day. So why do we want to live with this fist in our spirit? Why do we want to fight everyone about everything? Why do we want to argue constantly? Let people believe what they want. Let them think what they want. Let them feel what they want. It is not for you to be the one that bashes them upside the head because you just don't agree. That can pertain to sports, life, marriages, relationships, politics. It pertains to it all. So look, instead of being angry all the time, why don't you just love the people you're with? Love those around you. Okay? Grieve how you want to grieve. Love how you want to love. But stop living with this man, I want to fight everybody mentality. Okay? There is my message for today. I know it was a long way there. And I talked a lot of sports to get there, but that's where I'm landing. That's where we're at. And that's what I want you guys to take away from today. Cool? All right. We're about done. It's 8:27. About time to take it home. So look, you can agree with me and you can disagree with me. I'm totally cool either way. I love you no matter what your opinion is. All right? There's a line from the show Scrubs, and maybe I'm going to start closing the show with that. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. All right? Be safe. Don't text and drive. I'll see you next week. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, Joe is going to be sitting right here, and we're going to celebrate for a half hour, and you guys are all welcome to celebrate with us. Go Chiefs. Win the Super Bowl. Bring my glorious Kansas City a Super Bowl title for the first time in 50 years. Sound like a plan? Please like this episode. Comment as you see fit. Share it. Share the episode. Share the page. It's the only way we grow. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Did you know that you could talk to Kyle when he records his shows? Tune in to the live recordings of Hitting the Wall on Facebook Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time and say hi.